What's up, guys? Welcome to the TCG Scrubs podcast. I almost forgot what it was called. Another week with the usual dudes with the Team ARG's Colin, pulling in all those wins on that team, and Joe of Joe's Corner. Welcome. I was waiting for Joey to say something, and he didn't.
Yeah, I thought you were going to take more digs at me since I guess you were channeling last month's.
I was trying to reverse. I was like, maybe if I don't take shots at him, the actual episode will come out of Joe's Corner. Since you wanted to know.
So if you stop taking shots at Colin, would he start winning more? Okay, I'm
the window for Panda's winning passed. That was GPs ago.
I'm sure that's how Oscar felt this past weekend.
What's that?
I think he's saying that is.
Oh yeah, spoilers. So we recorded a bunch of content for you guys, games, which should be up next week because I'll have to edit some of those and get them ready to go. Because I put the cards up on them. So you guys can start checking some of that out. We'll record some more games and see how that goes. And but intro stuff. So as usual, guys, you like to help support the channel and everything we do here, you can visit Happy Little Hug Factory. There's a link in the description below, so know that we send you over. It's very useful to go there looking for singles, as well as checking out their buy list for cards we're looking to pick up. And most importantly, every time we're going to get near a release of a set, you can go over there and pre-order the new set. And it's $80 for the set itself. And if there's a promo that's involved, they will always get the promo and send it out. But sometimes there's an issue where the distributor won't send it in, but they work their hardest, I guess, to figure that out. And like the R-Wins this last round, they got a batch of R-Wins from one distributor, but not from another one. But they're able to get everybody their promos from what I've seen. But make sure to visit them. Link in the description below. Also to DKP accessories for the playmats that we've talked about for a while. We were going to film this weekend, but it was way too hot. I was like, yeah, we're not doing this. You see it over there.
Outside.
Yeah, and I know it was like not the point of like it being necessarily windy, but it was just nothing was windy. But anyways, you want to visit them, you can visit them, link in the description below, code TCG at checkout, right? And what's that for? It's for, Colin?
That's 5% off your orders with the code TCG, and it also lets them know that we sent you guys over.
There you go. And then lastly, to patreon.com/TCG Scrubs. If you guys want to help support there too, it helps us upgrade equipment and do cool stuff. Shout out to Hooflung, who had gotten us, sent us a sound mixer. It was a large, cool thing. Finally got a microphone, which I'm using now. Apologies for last week's podcast because I was using apparently webcam audio and not the microphone I had last time. But now it's cool microphone. It's working. I see the little meter going doo 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 every time I talk. But
sounds good.
Thank you to everybody on Patreon. We're using those funds to help upgrade some stuff right now to get some cool stuff going. Cool projects in the future, hopefully, with that equipment. But patreon.com/TCG Scrubs. You want to help us out?
Also, so if you guys missed the news last week, there's a giveaway going on right now from Happy Little Hug Factory. So they're actually giving away a play set of the R-Win promos. So if you guys look at TCG Player, that's $120 worth of cards they're giving away. The giveaway ends actually tonight at around 8 p.m. or something like that, Central Standard Time, I believe, is what I said it as. And today being Tuesday the 11th, if you're watching this. So if you're watching the podcast today, make sure you go and enter into that competition. The link is in the description below, and I'll draw that and announce the winners tomorrow or maybe Thursday on the news. Depends if some more news comes out for Force of Will or something else. So the play set of R1 promos, be sure to enter in by the end of today.
Some other cool stuff, I guess, about the channel to mention. I got the alpha demo decks from Argent Saga in. Those are those cool sketch-looking ones. So I'll do an opening of that. Probably a short video. Also, for all those who signed up for the demo decks, I don't know if Joey ended up doing that or not. After I told him to. Those came in today as well. I got mine today. So I opened that up as well. It's a half of a deck of the light deck to kind of play with. And you said you did?
I signed up for the demo decks, yeah.
Oh, cool.
I didn't check my mailbox.
Probably chilling there. If not, I'm sure they're in a day or two. Yeah. But those all came in. I'm going to do an opening of those. So for those of you who actually listen, who came on board during Argent Saga week, I don't know if you listen to this podcast or not, but we'll have that. We'll also have some gameplay coming up. I think Colin has gameplay, right? Do you still have that, or is that lost?
It should still be here. I'll double check, but I should still have the gameplay on here. And that should be coming out later this week.
If not, we'll work to get some play of that. Again, the only thing out right now to even play with is the demo deck. So I know it's not super duper exciting, but I guess for those of you who aren't too familiar with it or what it's about, that great jumping in point as well. But spoilers should be coming up sometime soon.
They said after either Kickstarter or Gen Con, I forget. One of those two is when spoilers will start. After when Kickstarter launches, or when Gen Con happens.
Yeah, I think it's Kickstarter, because at Gen Con the set releases, so...
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah. So after
which is
Kickstarter spoilers, sure.
Yeah, because you can buy product for anybody who's going there. Cool promos. I also want to... I'm gonna go ahead and mark this time here. It's like 7 minutes, but I saw some interesting promos that they'll be handing out if you go to Gen Con. This one was one of the Water Spirit. It's a full art. I like the yellow border on this one. I don't know if the other guys have seen it. I saw them and saved them on my desktop. But it's cool because it actually removes the reminder text for some of the abilities like Shard Drain, as well as... actually, I think it's just Shard Drain twice, so it's printed on that card. They just removed it, so it's just nice, simple text going across. Full art card. It looks really colorful.
I like the full art shards themselves. Having a full art shard deck is going to be super nice.
Yeah. But cool stuff there. Make sure to check them out, as well as their Kickstarter, which they'll be launching soon. Forget the day. I think we're 5 or 7 days away at this point, which is recording time, so about probably 5 or 3 days from the time this comes out.
Yeah.
But cool rewards on there. They've been teasing.
Yeah. No, there's actually some pretty cool stuff that I think I had mentioned on the news that's really good if you were interested in getting in, because they have one that's $150. You can get a booster box, 2 star decks, playmat, and some other stuff. So it's really if you want to jump into a game, that's probably the best deal as far as that goes. So yeah.
Joe, you signed up for 1 or 2 demo decks?
I think probably just 1. I didn't know. I didn't realize you could sign up for 2.
I mean, you could just signed up under your girlfriend's name or something like that, and have it so she can play with one with you. So you have somebody to play with. Is what I was trying to get at.
Well, but that's all I do. The demo decks is that they're half a deck, so you play with somebody else with half the deck.
What?
No, it's like if you went to go buy a starter deck and they cut that in half and they give you half of it and they said that's a demo deck. So you're getting half of the light starter deck as a demo deck. So you're gonna get a champion, a spirit, and 20 cards and probably 5 shards to play with.
Oh. I thought it was like how Forceful did the versus the other dude.
That would have been cool. That was 2 half decks for the demo deck on that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Probably only got 1 then.
Yeah. I don't know if it's too late to sign up for. You can do that. I think there's still people signing up and talking about it in the groups. But anyway, that's Argent Saga. You'll see more of that coming up later. For this week, though, we had 2 things we were going to go over, and that was one of them. Somebody asked a question about starting content creation and stuff like that, and I figured it'd be a little... We haven't done a lot of kickback of us getting started and things we did or things we would or didn't do, or I don't know, advice. And then 2 is rotation was asked about in the list of questions I had from last week as well, where people were wanting to know 1, our thoughts on rotation, 2, what we would miss leaving, and what we're looking forward to leaving in rotation, which isn't till November, I believe, which is when that new cluster starts up. That's usually when the rotation occurs, so somewhere October, November-ish. So we have quite a ways to go, but I figured they asked, so kind of give our opinions on that. Maybe towards the tail end. So I let Colin started off. He's been pretty quiet. He's normally really chit chat. No.
Oh yeah, you know me.
So somebody asked. They said if I want to start content. What's your advice, or where should I get started?
You should probably create a YouTube channel to start. But and we had talked briefly about this on our Patreon mini podcast, we had mentioned. But basically, if you want to create content specifically for Force of Will, I think the first thing you want to do is figure out what type of content you want to do, because doing sort of generic content might not necessarily be great for breaking in, because there's a lot of stuff, like if you're doing gameplay, there's a lot of channels doing that. If you're doing just sort of, I'm trying to think of what other types of things, general thoughts
like
of stuff.
Deck profiles.
Yeah, like deck profiles is one that isn't as prevalent, I feel like, but you want to find like sort of a niche that you can sort of slot in. For example, like the example I give is like I do the news, which was something, it was still something no one really does, and that was something I enjoyed doing, was compiling all that, and then I have my weekly video for that, and that sort of is something that's unique to us, and so you're able to break into that pretty well.
We're doing the podcast now too, because once J Ruler kind of left, there's kind of a little bit of a gap, and I don't think anybody was doing. I don't remember if Jeremy.
Well, we're starting it before. We started it before J Ruler left, but yeah. It transitioned. But it created
like a vacancy around all the whole YouTube personalities and stuff, really. And so it just kind of worked out like that, but it was good.
Yeah, it was funny because if you go to the playlist, you can go to the beginning and see some
Don't do that.
first test runs at a podcast, which we were trying to figure ourselves out, and then we stopped. We did 2 episodes and stopped, and then did like a reboot.
Did we do 2 episodes?
Yeah, we did 2, and then because one of them had Michael and one of them didn't. I think the one that had Michael also had Melissa, which the other one didn't. But
I remember one of them had a Zach and me, which is one I.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you are in both of them.
Oh, was I in this?
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I was in
The only difference from 1 to 2 was Michael was there.
Okay.
And I think Melissa, unless Melissa was in both, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyways, we rebooted after a while. We got together. We figured out kind of a formula of what we wanted to do. We were putting on too many people on there, and it wasn't even focused on Forceful Will back then.
Exactly. I think that was the key of just actually, we need to talk about and focus on like what the podcast should actually be about, which was Forceful Will.
And that's
because there's 2 routes, and the one route that we had talked about, or I had talked about, was, well, you can either do talking about Forceful Will in the podcast, or you can do more of a visual thing where you're playing a Forceful game is playing while we just talk about whatever in the background, kind of like video game commentary and stuff works, where people are just talking about whatever while they play a video game. And so that's sort of the 2 routes. I think, because Oscar was talking about, I think the second one of those podcasts we did, at least one of them, I think, had gameplay going on while we talked.
Because I think the first one had nothing, and then we're like, we need something for people to look at, because we didn't have face cams yet, or we had cameras, but we didn't all have cameras, so we left it out. But yeah, we did gameplay while we talked about it. Some gameplay that was missing audio. That was like, let's just throw it in here. But anyways,
so it I'd say the uniqueness, and you don't necessarily have to be just creating unique content. Obviously, you can do other stuff around it. But I'm saying starting out doing only non-unique content, you might find yourself a little bit hard to make a splash unless you're really good at gameplay, especially visually editing and stuff like that, or whatever else you happen to do, or really good at gameplay commentary with giving analyses and stuff like that. But that, and if you're starting a channel, is just like the consistency of just keeping on it, even if you're not like feel like you're getting a lot of views or anything like that. If you keep that consistency going, it'll eventually break in. Because if people check in once in a while just on a random video that you post, and they go to your channel and see you only post once every 3 weeks, or it's a completely random thing of you posting, they're less likely to click on your other videos or subscribe, because what's going to happen if they subscribe? They probably won't get much content. So that consistency of like, oh, this thing I liked, oh, they did it last week and the week before and the week before, so I can expect it next week, etc. And eventually you might be able to find a nice groove in there and get into people of wanting to do that.
Yeah, I'll kind of jump on that topic, because you have 2 huge dichotomies between, like, Colin has his news every week, we all have the podcast every week, and then like I am terrible at doing Joe's Corners and like actually trying to keep consistent and stuff. And even when I lived down with a Colin, he would kind of have to drag me to do gameplay videos and do Joe's Corners, and he'd have to kind of prompt me. So people probably aren't that interested in Joe's Corners because I never do them. And even if the content might be something interesting, I need to start getting a consistent flow and having ideas every week. And so you really kind of see the difference between something like Joe's Corners and something like Colin's News and the podcast, and even like the pre-release primer. We've kept that up through like the past like 7 or 8 sets, I think now, and it always comes out around like Thursday, Friday, before the pre-release, and so people seem to like that.
Yeah, and it's and even if it's not getting traction initially, that also could be good in the sense of like most people who are getting into YouTube, especially for these smaller stuff like Force Will, don't have experience with video editing and software and uploading, creating thumbnails, all that. And so that gives you a chance to really practice it and figure it out over time, in real time, essentially. I think that kind of happened with Oscar, because I don't think he had too much experience with video editing.
No, it was all new. It was an interest I had, but I had never dabbled in it. So I was like, all right, here we go. Just jumping into it. Watch so many like how-to videos and ask these guys questions.
Yeah, and now he does it real well, and he's doing the overlay images for the gameplay and different things like that. So it's one of those things where even if you're not getting views, that also could technically be a good thing because you're still trying to figure out how to get to that perfect visual thing that you want. And that's always going to keep going and improving and changing. Like you can, if you follow this channel, you can see how everything just slowly changes as you figure stuff out.
We've made a lot of changes. So I was going to say like one thing that we did that I'd recommend that others don't is like being too ambitious with the things you want to do. We wanted to do gameplay where we like kept changing life totals on screen and I think throwing like funny stuff like what we messed up right there type of thing and like little funny stuff while the gameplay went, and that just involved more and more editing. So then we finally figured out a way to just strip that down and just make it to where it was gameplay. The score was on the board with us. We're able to calculate that as we went along. So it's just like clip and then throw it up, and it's just more now recently that I'm like, okay, people want to see the cards because they don't know what they always do, especially in other formats like Wander and Epic Stories. So now we throw those in. But what Colin was saying, so with that combined, so when you get started, or if you're going to start, I would say to like not necessarily advertise it super duper hard in the very first week or two, just so you can find your footing and see like what your schedule is and what you can do. We got lucky. There's 3 of us, and it's something Jeremy had always said on Ruler School, saying that he wishes he had a team the way we do, where it's like, hey, you're on, Colin's on news, Joey's on Joe's Corner, I got podcasts and gameplays. It's like we have like a split work, and on top of that, it goes further. Like we're all replying to comments on YouTube. We're all like messaging, or actually Colin's messaging on Patreon and usually on the Facebook as well. Like I'm on Twitter posting stuff and sharing it out, different things like that. So it's like this like spread of work, which
we're able
like
to
reading stuff about everything. I just never really.
Yeah. Here, Joey reads it and then chimes in our group chat like, "Hey guys, you see somebody said something? Y'all should do something about
it." Or he'll
that.
read emails of people sending us messages and leave it as read and then not tell us that it came in.
I haven't done that in so long.
We had to get in the beginning, and then that corrected.
It was pretty bad, and splitting stuff up, like say when we do the podcast, Oscar's in charge of the podcast. I'm in charge of the mini podcast that goes on Patreon, so that we're able to have that consistent flow. And I'm in charge of basically any Patreon content we do, so the deck profiles and the game analyses and stuff like that that we occasionally put up.
Oscar, is our Patreon match going up at all?
Yeah, it is. I was out at Colin's house the whole weekend, and then
his car
today,
died.
so.
Yeah,
and I don't have a car for now. That's being resolved.
So he gets home later than he should be right currently. So he has less time. But yeah, so don't want to pile on too much stuff because life can get busy, and it's good to like. The news isn't a good example, but like gameplay, deck profiles, kind of the podcast, that type of content, you could actually technically set aside one day knock a bunch of it out. Like Oscar and I just did. We knocked out 3 different gameplay videos that are coming out all in one. For some reason, we always start doing the gameplay at like midnight, so we finished about 5:30, I think. But that happens every time. Every time we do gameplay, we do that, and I don't know why. But you knock that all out in one day, and that's 3 weeks worth of gameplay. So you do the same thing. Let's say you do gameplay and deck profiles. Well, then you can set aside an entire day. You film 3 to 4 gameplays, 3 to 4 deck profiles. Let's say 4. That's 1 month worth of content. So once per month, you set aside 1 day for filming, 1 day for at some point for just editing it all, like one giant edit session perhaps, and then YouTube allows you to upload it and schedule it for automatic release. And so you just sit back and basically don't have to do anything outside of when it releases. Share it maybe in the Force of Will global group on Facebook and stuff like that. But having that. Yeah. Design in a way that doesn't stress you out or anything, well, which we don't always do, but like it because you're not going to make money off of this. Any money that we've made, we've put 100% back into the channel, and then some. We always spend more than what we take in on equipment and all that stuff because we're smart. But yeah, I
mean, it helps make things better. Go ahead.
You don't want to burn yourself out and stop enjoying it. Is the main thing.
I was going to bring up, I know we were kind of talking about a lot of the mechanical side of this. Like, I wanted to go through, like, what we maybe what has failed for us. And then I also wanted to ask, like, how have we done, like, advertising and stuff? Because I know Colin is really on top of that. And I know in the early days we kind of did some. So
before we get there just yet, I was going to say, like, the combination of all 3 of us makes the content easier to get out. So if it's just you going at it by yourself, I'd say, like I said, evaluate it for a couple of weeks and see what you're capable of doing. And don't try to make like this crazy production unless you know you're capable of it and it's something you've done before. Make it simple. Dedicate some time maybe to play with somebody. And then something I had learned early on, because I watch all sorts of YouTube channels from like vloggers and people who review products and stuff like that. It's like the key is like is mostly going to be your audio. Like we all have like cell phones that record great video, and you can probably set that up on a tripod of some sort to get your video. Just make sure you have a way of getting really good audio, because like that's the people will stay longer for the better audio than necessarily the video type of thing. So that was something I tried to get us going early on. Like I bought a Tascam, like was it like
it's true
first month or so, and that's this little microphone right here, which has a tripod attachment in the back, so we just set it on a tripod on a table while we would record games for better audio. That's about like $60-$80, so it's kind of an example of like where you start to spend to invest into the channel type of thing, but make sure you're going to do it because you really want to type of thing.
Yeah. And like we all tried to get these little like cell phone lapel camera mics.
Yeah, those are great.
That worked okay, and then I thought I had a decent enough mic, but we ended up kind of pooling some money together and got me a Yeti microphone too, so that so that just elevates it to like as good as we can get it.
That's the other thing, is it doesn't have to be expensive. Those lapel mics we got were about $6 to $10 on Amazon with free shipping, and that's what I still use to this day for Forcible News. I just use that little $10 lapel, and it's a great audio. Much better than your onboard phone or camera is going to be, and just by spending $6 to $10, you're already like miles ahead of most content creators who just use the onboard stuff, and it makes a world of difference. And it fixes, because I know I've had problems with my other phone, and I think this phone as well, where when you record video, sometimes the audio gets off from the video for some reason. I don't know. And I'm not entirely sure why. I think it's the way it codes it or whatever. But the lapel fixes that completely. So it also saves you time as well. So that's something audio is a big thing. And it's
so
not too hard.
$10 for a lapel mic you can get on Amazon. You can probably find it somewhere else. And then just plug it into your phone and use a recording app on the phone. I recommend, if you can, turn off Wi-Fi and like go to airplane mode, because usually receiving a cell phone signal in will cause that sound to come through. So which is a weird staticky. I know y'all have heard it. You probably have seen videos of ours for a while, and you may have heard it a long time ago, hopefully a long time ago, type of situation.
Maybe you're hearing it right now.
I hope not. But that's some little things you can do. If you're going to record gameplay, we use a 2020 life. What's it called? 2020.
2020 life counter, and that's on the Android, and what's it called on Apple?
It's called the same thing on the iPhone. It looks completely different, and it doesn't get as dark. I noticed that in our gameplay, it looks lighter through the camera, and the numbers look differently. But it's the same effect. You can just set it to always start at 40, and then just black background. You can throw it on the table. Also, that lapel mic is great for if you're gonna do deck profiles, which I think like you said that's like a common thing, right, or something like that, Colin. But it's also like one of the number one things that people usually come to a channel to watch are the deck profiles, and also like one of the number one requested things on a channel are the deck profiles. Like even on our website, one of our top all our top viewed articles are all deck profile articles.
Ooh, fair represent.
Yeah,
it's my article.
It's just yeah.
And then secondly is if you're going to do something that's like already been established on other channels as a method of how they do it, you might want to kind of stick to it, because like I know Colin did his deck profiles differently in the beginning, and then people were like, "What? Why don't we see you? Why can't we just see the cards?"
One. That's how 90% of deck profiles have the person on there. 2, I went through like 8 different things of deck profiles of trying to figure out what to do for them, because I just got. I got really bored making them, so I was trying to figure out different stuff and stuff. But yeah, I mean, eventually we will start doing deck profiles again. I think it's just like, I mean, technically this is a good format to do deck profiles in. It's just like I might start doing something soon. Like with our gameplay, I made a Fuji deck that I kind of like. My Panda deck's pretty much identical, but I don't know if I ever did a deck profile for my current Panda list, so maybe I'll do that.
It's like I can do my 7th Panda deck profile.
I think I've only officially done one deck profile for Pandas, like on the channel. I've gone through a lot of Panda decks in gameplay, but as far as official profiles, I think I've only done one.
I don't remember, but
anyways, that's like I think I wrapped that part up, and I think Joey had a part he wanted to.
We're talking about like something we think like fell flat, or I know we got really ambitious with the whole lore.
We did.
I think this would have been fine.
It was fine.
There was a lot of things that came into factor. I think the number one thing was was my what's the word here? Like I thought of an idea. I had an idea. I was like, hey, this would be cool, right? I was pumped. I was like, let's do this. We recorded some test audio to see how it would work. Scrapped it because we got better microphone, which was a lapel mic, by the way, which you hear it now and it's complete crap. I still have the audio. But we re-recorded with the lapel mic and then redid it all, right? Yeah. And then had it. And then it's just kind of like that interest, like, gah, gah, gah. And it just flatlined. And then it just went, goosh. And I was just kind of like, I just lost interest in the project is what it was. It started to become a lot. I had an idea of what I wanted to do. Colin had an idea of what he wanted to do. And it was just kind of all this stuff that was just like, I didn't even know what to do anymore in the end. And it's where we even had Jeremy over at Ruler School record like some lines for us for one of the characters. He was going to be Grim, and I have everything still. It's just like, I don't know, just a lot. And I'm not trying to redirect blame here in the end. Not that I was going to reapproach the project there. See, I'm pointing out. But then after that, Colin just got even busier with what he does on the side besides his channel.
Well, yeah, that was like 6 months after we said we were going to do it. Then all of a sudden I was busy. And you're like, yep, we can't do it now. I was like, for the record, during that whole time, real quick, during that whole time, I offered to just like completely take on the entire load and do it. And Oscar's like, no, I want to do it. I really want to do it.
Well, I was hold on.
Oscar, I'll do
him
like
at a certain point to take over the video. I was in control, like just making sure it was script form and getting the audio.
No, he never let me take over. I offered to completely take over.
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure I was on audio.
I had some cool side ideas that I might still do.
The way I had that is that we way overpromised and we did not deliver at all. So I think you need to like.
Well, we didn't deliver anything. You can't overpromise on something that never came.
My point is, like, when Oscar first kind of pitched this, it was like, hey, we should do voices and do the lore. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then it went from like that to like, oh man, we should have like animations of all the characters
and that
as
was
they're talking,
Colin.
Fire coming up.
He
And it's
had
like,
the idea.
Yeah, and I said I would do it. I said I would do 100% of that.
And then Oscar was like, oh, we should get like 20 different people's voices and,
Not
and
20.
have our
I
guest
said Jeremy.
podcast.
I said we should get Jeremy.
We had Jeremy.
I
We had
said
another
Negative
person.
Legend.
We had
and then
Melissa.
Jay Ruler and Sacred
Yeah.
Beats. Like those are those 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
All of
I'm
which,
saying is
well,
that
I don't think we asked Negative Legend, but everybody else was cool with it. Jeremy even recorded the lines.
I know,
We,
but going forward, do you know how difficult it is to like bring voice act like people voice acting for like a bridge series and all that stuff? It's really difficult to get people like lines people. I'm saying is
But
over
the point is,
Got
it was 100% ready. Was not my fault, but I was still, you know, I mean, the lore is shot now, so I think that's gone.
And it was funny because like all this time later, I'm like, oh look, it worked out. The lore is just not being produced anymore.
But we might revisit in the form of like snippets for some of the cool moments, or like I had I won't say it because maybe I'll still do it, but I had an idea for like a more comedic side theme for it, especially after working with some of the recent videos I did, not for here, but I figured out a lot of cool stuff animation wise that I could do, that I feel pretty confident in. So I might revisit that if Oscar ever decides he wants to draw stuff for the channel.
Well, see, there's another failed idea. Was this thing that Colin had where it was like,
don't say it in case it's what I'm thinking of.
You guys describe a card and then I draw it, and then
yeah, that was great. I loved that. I thought that was great.
I didn't enjoy it, but that was actually the one thing I went through the channel. I was like, yeah, I'm making these private. I don't like these, so you guys can't even see them no more. But
I remember them.
I like that.
Okay, so like, what kind of like advertising and stuff did we kind of do in the beginning? Like I remember we did.
It's pretty
the Facebook sponsored things too. I think on one of those.
That wasn't really a thing. Facebook was like, hey, you can do this for free, or what have you.
They'd give us free money to throw into like boosting a post. So we would boost key posts that people would see, and it's usually just, you know, when you look at Facebook, you see the sidebar and it recommends like, you know, a group based on your interests of other groups already. You know, like card game stuff. Like I see, you know, things for like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh marketplaces on the right side of my bar every now and then. Like it was those kind of advertisements, and it was really interesting because I think we would generate likes on those posts, and you're able to see like where all the likes are coming from. They're all coming from like Mexico and South America, which is really interesting. But
it didn't translate into views either.
No, it didn't. It just generated likes.
Weird.
That likes weren't doing, so we stopped doing it. But
yeah,
it was very interesting.
But the main thing is just to be very personal, share it to the Facebook Forcible Global group, any local groups you have in your area, at least when you're starting. I'm trying to think of Reddit is a good one for specific
Twitter.
things. Like I don't share everything on Reddit, only ones that I think would generate conversation on Reddit or stuff like that. But yeah, Twitter, basically you want to create all the social media things, so Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit, and then you can also translate that over to things like Instagram and stuff, and just create a social media presence that you're sharing the videos to, so that you're nabbing. If you nab one person here, one person here, it slowly adds up over time. Yeah. Especially if you're there responding to people and stuff like that. And even some of it will be negative, like our early videos we would share on the Forcible US group. Not everyone liked in the comments of the Facebook and all that, but you know, we kept going at it, and you know, it's, you know, views are views. Like I was telling Oscar when we get that negative tension, I was like, you know, they were just commenting on our post with a negative thing, which is bumping our post up, which is making more people see it to click on it and what have you. So it's, especially in those early stages when you have like under 50 subscribers, that's still just as helpful. So yeah. As long as it's not real bad.
So that's kind of the advertising part of it. I just want to comment one thing real quick, but then we'll switch to the rotation thing. Is that some things that like I wish we could have broken into already that we may have not have, or it's just not necessarily working out because we can't give it 100% of our attention, is like streaming on Twitch. and stuff like that. Like we
Yeah.
had made TCG Scrubs Twitch channel where I streamed the GP app as well as one for gaming because we play computer games almost every weekend.
Scrubs games, yeah.
So that's something that those are two
Which
things.
I was say, which I was actually the Scrubs game channel. I was streaming
Yes.
to fairly frequently, and then I got bogged down with editing.
But
And then when we do play League of Legends, Colin doesn't stream to it.
Yeah, because I'm tired and Joey rages, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
that's the best part. Like I wanted us to stream. Actually, no, we streamed playing what was it called, StarCraft 2, and Joey was raging really hard, but unfortunately, Colin didn't have it clicked to save like games, so it didn't save the gameplay of that. It was gone. But it was.
Yeah, you're right. I was.
We're playing a tower defense, and Joey was mad. It was great. I was
not that mad. They're exaggerating.
You were pretty
He's
upset,
always
man.
I was really upset, but I was raging that hard.
We might start doing that a little bit more because I should be freed up a little bit more here soon with as far as my video editing side of things. But it's also a hybrid thing because Oscar and I now work a little bit longer days in the week, so it'll be. But I'll try and at minimum do more consistent like video games and stuff like that.
As far as the TCG Scrubs too, like I know Oscar and I tried to start we probably got like 5 or 6 streaming sessions on
gameplay.
Wednesdays. Huh?
Just some casual gameplay.
Yeah, just like casual and on Lackey and stuff, and we usually get got around 11 or 12 people just to come by and hang out. So I mean, it was nice, but we might get back on that. I don't know. We might. But yeah, I agree with Oscar. Like it would have been nice to have jumped into that and been growing it more and more.
So on me and Joey playing casually, we're slowly ramping that up. Like right now, we'll play like once or twice a week. Like last week we played twice, and then we'll see what we play this week. But I'll record those. And that's what he mentioned I think early on. And right now we're just gonna upload this to Patreon as just some casual games we're playing, and then maybe later on down the road we'll just start streaming them. Period. But we'll see how that goes.
I also wish, and we like I wish we could have created like a online tournaments, like Jeremy kind of started doing and stuff. Because I know Zach and I had that idea. We just never got around to like really perfecting it, which is, I think that would have also been really good to get community, the whole community going and like people on Discord.
Yeah.
And we even made rooms and stuff for it. That's another one that I wish we could have gotten started.
Yeah, those rooms still exist here under like I don't know if they can see that Lackey tournaments, but yeah. Oh, I think the tab's there and it just shows 2 things, but. Yeah, and there's always people on Discord looking for games. I don't know if any of y'all listening also want that. Usually everybody's looking for both on Untap and Lackey. But we had is it gone or is it still here? Yeah, there's a little group, a little tab for looking for games for anybody.
I've noticed. I think some people might have been in there before. I'm not gonna like. Because my I don't really remember who or when, but also just like a nice like community day of playing, playing casuals would have been really interesting. I know we had even thought about like having people playing and having us like commentating on games and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a really interesting idea too.
That was a few things I know that we kind of wish fired off that maybe didn't necessarily fire off the way we wanted to. Maybe they will. Who knows what kind of comes up. But I think with this last 20-ish minutes here, if not less, we'll go over this possible rotation or actual rotation happening, but at a later time. It's happening in November ish, and so what's some cards that are on those guys' minds immediately without thinking too hard that you're sad or happy to see rotate? Because there's one I'm kind of like I'm not sure how to feel about necessarily, and that's only because like we went from hating it to maybe seeing the necessity of it, and that's Lorite.
Yeah,
I know that's one of the one of the ways at least to stop alter, right? Because it can stop the ability for the search.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes,
but in the past, it's been an issue. Jeff marked it as a what's it called? What did he say it was?
Unnecessary
Watchlist.
evil.
Necessary evil.
Oh, yeah, okay.
What did you say?
Something like that.
I didn't know if it was on his watch list or not.
Okay. But what are your thoughts on it? Are you happy to see it gone? Are you kind of like, oh, is this an issue type situation? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, go, Colin.
No, I was just say I'm happy to see it go because it's a terrible card, but they definitely need to have something to replace it in order to counter some of these really strong effects. But something that's actually balanced. Lorite's just not fun, but it was one of those things like even you and I were playing this past weekend, and I would play stuff of like, oh, let me do this, which brings this out, which does this, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to Lorite that, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm not playing green, so there's nothing I can physically do about that.
So what do you mean by more balanced? 'Cause I know in the past you've argued it shouldn't be on a body. Do you mean like just a chant, or do you mean the fact that it says an ability your opponent controls?
No, I think the body and I don't know fully about this, but something with the 1 cost, because I don't know if 2 cost is too much where it's not viable, but 1 cost feels really cheap to say flipping with a ruler, like say Fuji for example, you flip for 5, I think, his 5 to judgment, flips over, and you Lorite his enter, which so basically you paid 5 for like a really crappy body on the field. So I don't think that should be a thing.
I would say there's a lot of avenues they could do to just reduce power from it. Like I think Kiza's Call and Erendite could maybe be a little stronger, but for example, Lorite, you could just chop off the whole activate ability, cancel that, and like it would be perfectly fine canceling automatic abilities still, or it could even be like cancel automatic abilities of non-J resonators. Which would still hit Alter, it would still hit like resonators, it just wouldn't hit J rulers. Or you could even like just take it off of Lorite.
Keep in mind real quick is that Kiza's Call is also rotating with Lorite, so we'll only have Erendite as the cancel ability right now.
And also, Lorite doesn't target, so it gets around barrier, which I think is a mistake. It should be cancel. The wording should be like cancel an ability of target J/resonator, or cancel ability of target non-J/resonator, draw a card.
If they increase the cost to say 2, I'd be cool with the same target opponent controls. So at least you now have use of at least one of the white cards, which gives the player barrier, and I think 1 red card that does the same, right? Or am I wrong on that? I can't remember.
I know. Red card.
Okay,
I think the red card prevents something else.
Okay, I know the white one just gives straight up gives you barrier. So like certain things would become a little bit more useful in that situation, and
no, there's things they could definitely do to create a more balanced version of it, and like if you make it 2 cost, then at least there's a downside of it, even if it's like make it 2 cost and it cancels an ability, and you get like a Kiza's Call thing where you get to draw a card or some other bonus effect. I think would be perfectly reasonable once you get to that 2, because now you have to leave open 2 will. It's much more obvious what your opponent's trying to do when they pass turn and they have 2 open will and stuff like that. So having 1 will that cancels everything is still too strong in my opinion. Or split into 2 different cards.
Yeah, I'm happy to see it go to. Like at the end of the day, I think it's fine that it's rotating out, and will probably be fine.
It wasn't keeping all. It's not going to keep Alter in control, so I'm not too worried about it as related to that. Because even if it cancels Alter's ability, that's not the biggest draw of Alter. I think that's just a fun side effect. Alter is strong without that search function.
I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm sad to see it go, but I'm very interested when Curate goes, what, like, I really feel like red decks are not going to make a splash at all, and they're not going to be able to hang with all the decks coming out now. So I guess I'm just a little concerned about that.
You feel like we'll need to see, like, say, because at the same time of rotation, we'll see the next set of the next cluster at least, so like gives you a better idea of what's coming up. But yeah, they would need something, I guess.
I feel like
in
every color is kind of represented a decent amount. Blue has like the machines in Shayla are kind of popular. It just feels like red only has Keurig right now that is actually competitive. And
I mean, you're bringing up
Keurig
Shayla, but she's rotating with it, so like, blue has machines.
But
I mean, but
yeah,
I would agree. Like I want to see where that kind of goes with him gone, because like that's what like. Has anybody? I know Roderick is running with ISIS in his side deck of his Keurig deck, and I think he brought it up in some of our past videos when we were doing spoilers about her with some of the cards we were seeing. So I'd be interested in seeing his take on where he sees red going, because he's definitely him, and I know Joey Schilling are like two like the first red players that come to my head when I think of a red player type thing.
Wow, I'm a red player, Oscar.
Joe, you play everything. Like we.
My ISIS deck is you shut your mouth.
What was the last red deck you had before ISIS? See, the fact you gotta think, it's just no.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I haven't played red in a while. Past that, but I like that you said that I play everything. I appreciate that. It makes me feel like I have a lot of knowledge. Nice flex.
Remember when Windows would be a jack of all trades, master of none, and it's just like nope, she still has everything.
Still master of everything.
Colin, what about you? Do you have something sad to see go, happy to see go?
Well, yeah, obviously, I'm sad to see the entirety of Pandas go.
Oh yeah.
Which is gonna suck, because it's gonna be I had the same thing with Soul, was the deck I was running that entire time pretty much, and then that rotated and I was super sad. And so Pandas rotating is gonna be sad because it was just a fun deck. Had a lot of different versatility as far as options of how you could play it, types of decks you could make with it, and also like all of the flippy cards. I'm sad because I was only able to run that deck for a little bit, and I really enjoyed that. And also I like the idea of flippy cards. I ran the shift cards when those were a thing, and these new ones I ran, and there's some cool ones too, especially I'm blanking on the names, but giving destructible the -6/+6/1 twin blades, and bunch of Angel of Hope. There's a lot of cool ones with cool effects. The Stone, Magic Stone of Hope, and so seeing basically all those light cards that were introduced during that cluster, I think were really cool and unique. And so it's going to be really sad to see all those effects and mechanics sort of go away, because right now, and we have cool stuff, but it's pretty much all rooted in divinity. All the rulers have divinity, and that's their unique effect. Whereas before, you had gems, you had weather, you had the inverse, and all that different stuff. And so I feel like even though it's more diverse right now, it feels less unique as far as the different stuff and tribal things go.
Because like you even had things like in Lapis Cluster, like Millium with the force rolls and stuff like that. Like I'm actually just noticing like every set you've had a go-to ruler. Like I established this ruler with Colin whenever I see it. Like Sylvia in Alice Cluster, Soul in Lapis Cluster, Millium as well, and then Pandas in Ray Cluster. So like this cluster, I don't feel like you have anything like it's. Oh yeah, Colin
Arthur
plays this. Yeah, I guess so. I just haven't seen you play in a while, so I guess I didn't really.
Yeah, well, it's because it's one of those scenes, especially when we start to get near the end of. Because I was playing Arthur actually a lot, and I actually had dropped Pandas for a while. I don't know if you noticed, Oscar. I didn't play Pandas for like 4 months, and I was playing Arthur and something else, and I picked Pandas up because as we start to get near the end of the cluster, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be rotating soon, so I need to just play the crap out of this while I can before it rotates, and then I'll switch. I'm probably going to switch to Arthur completely, unless something like really wows me. Even though Arthur, I know, is not the best for machines, it's still just, I like some of his stuff, especially if it's master and just for funsies.
Well, I was going to say is that you don't prefer to play Loki with like her master rune that's new now, like to grab that machine and throw it into play, being a little bit faster.
Not with the way I play machines. Yeah, it's not necessarily with the machines that I play, because I'm not trying to ramp into big stuff or anything. I'm just populating the field. So having access to his master rune to help me deal with field control, which would be my biggest thing. Both of his master runes help with field control, which is the biggest problems I run into when running machines. It's just nice to have, whereas Loki doesn't necessarily have access to that. So with the way that I play, which I usually try not to go hit hard early on. I usually play a little bit more passively. That was it. Although playing Fuji, I remember that I do like playing red decks once in a while that are a little bit more aggressive. Even though that Fuji deck wasn't necessarily super aggressive, it was still like trying to do bigger stuff earlier on is kind of fun as well. So we'll see if there's a cool red ruler that they reveal for next cluster that could catch my attention too.
Yeah.
How about you, Oscar?
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious on the opinion of everybody on Lorite. I don't have off the top of my head anything I'm sad to see go or excited to see go necessarily. I can't,
Sad to see IU.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played her in so long, so it's like I have no attachment to that anymore. Like, I do like seeing people doing well with an IU and being like, oh, cool, look, see, IU still got it. And like, just usually Cal just doing his usual thing and just topping tournaments. But that's, I don't know. Maybe you guys got anything else?
Are you like disappointed in how like that like, for example, like Dark Elves never panned out?
I was actually building Dark Elves deck just the other day in Lackey so that we can play for fun when we do our casual stuff. And I was sitting there looking at it, I was like, God, they kept going with pandas. They sure didn't do that with Dark Elves. And like, not even like, yeah, I guess there's arguments of like there's some support items you can throw into her now, like March of the Dead and stuff like that. But just like there's just nothing truly that continued to combo with it or synergize, whatever is the right word for that, to keep it relevant still, like just looking at it type of thing. Like, that was what I was really excited about when I saw Dark Elves and some of the stuff that it was doing already with the ruler. I was like, I want this to be my thing, but you just outshined that immediately when it came out, and that's what I was playing for a while.
Yeah, like I'm definitely sad that Welser and Rhea never were that great.
Yeah, I was looking. Me and Colin were looking at Welser the other day, and it's unfortunate as well.
I was so excited for Welser. He seems so strong.
Yeah, that's the other thing I'm sad about is that nothing. It was like the rulers like Welser, that nothing ever came of them, really, that have potential and just were never given what they needed. Unfortunately, like there's rulers obviously like Pandora where it's like tee Pandora, but you got like Welser where it's like, oh, that had potential at least to be a thing, but they just like forgot he was a thing or like didn't understand how to make him a thing. I don't know what exactly happened there, but yeah.
He was definitely one of the ones where I saw all of his support and I was like, man, look at Freyla, I think. Look at Beelzebub. Like, look at this Majin sublimation. Like, I just his 3-cost card that judgments him. I was like, man. And then he gets on the field and does all this crazy stuff. This guy looks awesome. And then,
I know it's something that came to mind right now. Is like it was unfortunate to have to deal with her, but like Sherry's not miss her leaving the format. She's not legal anywhere, but the support she had that was actually pretty cool to use. It still gets used in some decks today, like Power of the Dragon, whatever the green card that canceled and removed.
Tears of the Powerless Dragon.
Yeah, and then Black Tears. Speaking stones, but I'm thinking about Black Tears, which killed all the 1-drops, and then the other one, which removed your opponent's graveyard from play. Evil Elemental Uprising. Like, those are cool cards that I will be sad to see go, because those are some of the cards I'm like, I'll throw into a certain deck depending on what you're playing against. Maybe it's a sideboard item. Those would be sad to see go.
That's a good point, yeah.
I'm glad to see Arrival of the Hero leaving, because I hate that card, especially after playing Colin the other day.
Arrival of the Hero is amazing.
I'd swing in, like, dang it, I forgot about that stupid card. He'd be like, Arrival, miscount.
Gilgon, too.
See what gun?
Gilgon?
Yeah.
Considering he's like, he was a threat, and now...
Yeah, and we only have one tournament results to kind of go off of, so I'd be interested in seeing more results, if there's even any tournaments coming up. I still need to look into that. To see how that's shaping up.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting, but yeah, it's a lot when you think about it. That's rotating out, especially with it being stuck to the 10 rulers this time around. It feels like, even though technically not so much, but feels, well, actually no, 100% we're being kept. We're retaining less than normal is what it feels like. And we actually are at the end of the day, but like it it's going to feel like a really big gap after rotation. Like there's, which could be really good, could be really bad. We'll see, but it's going to be sad to see a lot of that stuff go.
Yeah, and I know we've seen a changing of hands in company and all that, and some of us would like to see it go, back to the way it used to be. But like positive outlook going forward, some things I would like to see is like the continued awesome artwork of the next cluster. We're going back to Ataraxia, so I'd like to see some cool people. Again, Xion. That's somebody who could be there because it looks like it's like a travel in time, right? Like before the actual Seven Kings of the Land set, so before all the wars happening, I think is what they're saying. So it'd be cool to see some old characters again and maybe get some, looks in certain people we didn't see before, like Volga. I know is somebody who must have been somebody. You know what I'm talking about? Like other characters involved with that. Also, if at least they nod at or do things where it's like this interacts with this old Alistair's deck, but not directly, but in a way, like removing stuff from game and all that.
Yeah, I'm really excited for like archetypes coming back. Like I think Knights of the Round Table are going to be pretty sexy. I'm really hoping for some good stuff there. Like I know we already had Machine Knights of the Round Table, but there's other like Knights of the Round Table stuff. There's kind of dragons. There's hopefully they go more with like void machines. Could be really interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get like zombies or we already have kind of zombies. I don't know.
I mean, going back
it'd be
to
interesting
the
to see
original
what.
zombies would be cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like the stealth resonators and stuff like that. That were zombie-esque. Yeah, very interesting. I'm hoping for like unique rulers and rulers that do unique stuff. Like I like the Divinity. I liked it a lot. I think there were a couple of misses with it, but I really think like I kind of want J rulers to have their like own identities back.
Yeah.
Like. But
so something I wanted to bring up, and I kind of consider that like the tail end of that conversation at least, because we're sad to see things go and whatnot. We've had some like teaser art coming up that the company's been posting on its official Force of Will page or official Facebook page, I should say. I don't know if like Joey's seen it all. I know Colin has. Do you think this is the super like tinfoil hat thing right now? Do you think they're gonna reprint Dual Stones? Because if you notice, one, the logo is two different colors. Two, a lot of the color schemes of each of the images kind of has a dual color scheme to it, like two primary colors. Yeah, there's multiple colors in it, but like the one that was posted today, which looks like Machina, has like blue on one side and green on the other one, and then the one from the other day is like black, the dragon thing with a lot of red all around it. Like that's probably the one that's like that could be it or not. And then the first one was like this angel, which has this blue white kind of thing going on it. But again, super tinfoil hat right now. Just last bit.
I would say is I would say if they did that, it would be a good way for them to sell boxes and make a lot of money.
Yeah,
break the format.
You were talking about the V4 artwork, Oscar?
Yeah, V4 artwork. They posted 3 images so far.
Yeah. I'm seeing them now.
It'd be weird. It'd be weird to introduce dual stones in the 4th set. It'd make more sense in the next cluster, although I still think that, with the exception of if they introduce dual stones with negative effects or tied to specific rulers, I think dual stones would completely break the format potentially. But
yeah,
and plus it gets rid of a lot of the creativity. But if they introduced it in set 4, regardless of any other special stuff they try to do for it, that would I don't think that would work well. And also, as a side note, let's assume you're correct, Oscar. They are putting dual stones in there. How many dual stones are there?
10.
It's 10.
10? That's so we're getting 40 new cards. 10 of those would be stones, so we would actually only be getting 30 new cards.
But we also have 20 SRs. What if they print them as SRs?
I was just thinking that matches up really well.
Yeah, that still goes with my thing. We go from 40 new cards to 30.
Yeah.
So we become a 70% reprint set.
Yeah.
If that were to happen, I don't think they're that crazy to do that.
No.
I think best case scenario for them to do is to wait until next cluster.
So
if they do that.
I'm definitely seeing what you're talking about though, Oscar, with the dual colors going on in the artwork. Like the mechanical giant has like, he literally has a hand that's green and a hand that's like channeling blue.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and then the angel's like her little flower thing is like green on the bottom, blue on the top, and her like corset area.
Yeah.
Is,
It could also
bluish
be
green.
a mechanic they're introducing in this set of like converting colors into other colors. So you have resonators that do that, or field cards.
I mean, not to mention that like speculating right now, like 10 SRs, it's like all stones in the past have just been max rarity of rare, and then some of them have been uncommon type of situation. So who knows?
Yeah, being very interesting.
Yeah.
It could even be that they're planning on reprinting them in Ataraxia. But some like the Decisive Battle of Valhalla, people from Ataraxia somehow like burst into Valhalla.
Yeah.
And that's
they
where
just drop
this is
in
coming
some dual color people here that will have more support later on.
Oh yeah.
You know,
But
like how
Oh, I was gonna wrap it up, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was just saying, like how Adam came from New Valhalla into Ray Cluster and like.
Well, that's what I thought when I saw this, and it looked a lot like Machina. It was like that could be the case.
Exactly.
It's kind of something that helps them lead into it, but yeah, let us know what you guys think of our speculation that we have here. Whether you agree with us or you don't, your thoughts on it, and just let us know in the comments below, and we'll read it and respond to them. And we'll see you guys next time.
Pew pew.